Thank you all for attending the completion ceremony for the cohort of 2023. We will start with introduction from the Provost, Professor Carl Ammerheim. Can I please invite you?
So, good afternoon. We gather here today to celebrate the completion of studies of ISMC Cohort 2022. I would like to thank you all for joining us as we recognize the achievement of these students. This is a joyous occasion for which you should all feel extremely proud. This is a special event as this year also marks ISMC's 20th anniversary. We take this opportunity to reflect upon these past 20 years. ISMC is expanding its presence around the globe, creating partnerships in Europe, Asia, and beyond. The research and education which ISMC provides is pivotal, and we are seeking to extend our programs beyond London. In 2 short decades, ISMC has greatly contributed to research through texts, artwork, films, and other human productions. I would like to express gratitude to all of you who have supported us and continue to support us, our donors, alumni, faculty, and staff. You have been at the forefront to help our students to achieve their objectives, hopes, and dreams. In recognition of all that is ISMC and all that ISMC has achieved, I am pleased to announce today that the President has approved the creation of a $1 million U.S. research endowment in Muslim civilizations, which will be under the control of the Dean of ISMC. The first funds, I say to my academic colleagues, will be available in 2024, so you have a whole year to dream and get ready. Next year, AKU will be celebrating its 40th anniversary, which will be celebrated by events across all of our campuses, all 6 campuses on 3 continents. We continue to operate under our core principles of impact, quality, relevance, and access, known as ICRA. I would like to wish the graduating students all the very best in their futures and hope that they look back fondly on their time at ISMC. This is a day to celebrate your dedication and passion towards your studies, and we wish you all the very best in your future endeavors. So thank you, and good afternoon.
Thank you, Provost, for your speech. I would now like to invite the Dean of AKU ISMC, Professor Leif Stenberg.
Thank you. So, dear students, colleagues, and friends, I would like to warmly welcome you all to AKU ISMC's anniversary completion ceremony. Today, we are here to celebrate the cohort of 2023 upon the completion of their studies. In a good old British fashion, we are having lunch and drinking tea. I would like to congratulate you all on this tremendous achievement, the result of all of the hard work and effort you have put in over the past years. You should all be proud of yourselves today. I hope that this program has allowed you to develop, both personally and academically, to take yourselves further and explore the world of opportunities ahead. I would like to encourage you to fulfill your dreams and make good use of the knowledge and skills you have acquired through the MA in Muslim Cultures. I remember that in one of the meetings I had with you, one of you asked me about my personal life story. I think it was a surprise to many of you how the fundamental changes were founded on coincidences and sometimes linked to various dreams. Keep on dreaming is then my advice. Use your new tool, the degree in Muslim Cultures, wisely. I'm sure it will take you all far in life. I also hope that you, like me, learn and still learn from being in London. I'm not sure I would like to hear all the details of your experience, if I may joke. But I do hope that you have experienced the opportunities that London offers. and that you will return in a successful and leading professional capacity to this fantastic city in the future. One friend you have made for life in this city is AKU ISMC. And in my capacity as a dean, I would like to end by stating that it has been a pleasure and privilege to have you as our students at AKU ISMC. Especially as we come to the end of our 20th anniversary year, you are a group that will not be easily forgotten. Building on this, it seems appropriate to use a classical rhetoric term. We, staff and academic staff, refuse to say goodbye to you. Instead, we congratulate the cohort of 2023 and wish you a warm welcome back to your alma mater, Aga Khan University Institute for the Study of Muslim Civilisations. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. I would now like to invite the Head of Education, Professor Philip Wood, for a statement.
Students, colleagues and friends, it is a pleasure and an honour to welcome you all to this celebration of the ISMC cohort of 2022 as they complete their MAs in Muslim cultures. It's been a long journey, all more difficult because it was undertaken partly in the shadow of the COVID pandemic. But the results of these efforts have been impressive. The students have engaged with new material and new ideas. You have experimented with new perspectives and encountered new scholarly approaches. You've studied the history of the Caliphate or the development of Sufism, the theory and practice of Islamic law, the application of digital methods to the history of the book, and the role of the construction of gender's roles in different modern societies. And the value of this course of study may lie less in the information that you've received than in the inspiration that you carry with you. We hope that the value of your MA comes less in filling a bucket than in lighting a fire, less in gathering new knowledge than in being inspired to create new forms of knowledge yourself, in knowing that you can craft the tools that will allow you to do so. One of the university's key concerns is to empower students as lifelong learners, so that your learning journey doesn't conclude with the completion of your MA. We do not ask you to repeat any of the ideas that we've discussed during the MA uncritically, but rather to continue to develop and refine them in your future careers and your future thought. Our knowledge, our perspective and our identities are always works in progress, and they will change as we face new challenges or come upon new questions. I believe that a great strength of our MA is that it sets the study of the past alongside that of the present. This continues to be a rare approach, but I continue to believe that this blend offers an antidote to essentialism. By essentialism, I mean the reflex that characterises a group of people by a couple of characteristics, which are established when that group is created and persist for all eternity. This kind of assumption provides the raw material for stereotype, where outsiders believe simplistic assumptions about all group members. If we only study the present, there is a danger that we end up leaving the claims of the essentialisers untested. Are present-day politicians really correct in the claims they make about the Bible or about the Quran? But if we only study the past, there is then a danger that we fail to see present-day religion or national identity as real-life phenomena, things that are always changing as they pass between the hands of different generations. So the way that we understand scripture, or the way that we receive tradition, is not automatic, but contingent. It depends on the kinds of people we are and the kinds of circumstances we find ourselves in. A lot has been written about the idea of civil society. It seems to me that the central idea in civil society is the ability to hold the powerful to account, to assess their claims against evidence. I think that the ability to undermine essentialism is a crucial part of this, to point out that many generalisations that people make about large categories of people or places, whether about Muslims, Jews or Christians, or about the West, are often very hard to evidence and fall short when we look at things in greater detail. And I feel sure that whatever this cohort of students goes on to do in politics or journalism, in media or business, in academia or in NGOs, they will carry this critical insight with them and puncture lazy generalisations and easy stereotypes. Ladies and gentlemen, many congratulations, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Wood. We will now have a guest speaker. Our guest speaker is somebody that was in your shoes once upon a time. He has flown over to speak to you. I would like to invite Walid Arkef.
I would like to begin by thanking His Highness the Aga Khan, whose generous donation supported a master's degree here at ISMC, and also my PhD at Harvard as an Aga Khan student in the Department of History of Art and Architecture. Professor Karl Amenheim, Provost and Vice President, Professor Leif Stimberg, Dean of ISMC, Professor Philip Wood, Head of Education, esteemed professors and staff, valued guests, and especially the fortunate 20th cohort, good afternoon and thank you for granting me this honor. I'm extremely lucky to be sharing with you this wonderful celebration of an institute that I genuinely hold dearly and in high esteem. I spent the night of the December 31st, 2018 in a dark room illuminated only by dim light radiating from my desk lamp in a very cold and quiet neighborhood in Norwich City, here in the UK, finalizing PhD applications that had consumed both my body and soul for around 3 months. I honestly believed that the prestigious universities I had applied to might be out of reach. Yet a month later, I woke up one day in February, but this time in my house in Cairo, finding myself debating whether to go to MIT, Harvard, New York University, or the University of Toronto. 4 of the most competitive programs worldwide were fighting to get me on board. This institution, the Institute for the Study of Muslim Civilization, has undoubtedly played a central role in my realizing what seemed to be an unachievable dream. But let me go a little bit back in time to give you a clearer picture of where I started and how things unfolded. I hail from a very large, economically disadvantaged, but very caring and lovely Egyptian family. I'm number 4 in a family of 8 siblings. Just take a moment to imagine how challenging our life was in a country with almost no social security, very low GDP, and unstable economic growth rates. I had no international education, no book acquisitions, no soft skill courses. Quite a disadvantaged start, I believe. Instead, I worked harder than anyone I knew or heard of, and most importantly, I believed in myself. Long story short, I became the valedictorian of my class and was later appointed as teaching assistant. I did not conform to the sweeping gestalt of my university's career advancement of becoming as rapidly as possible a university professor. Instead, I decided to work on challenging subjects, not only to defy the norm, but also to explore complex questions from which to learn broadly. My selection of the Western Islamic world, particularly the Iberian Peninsula, which is today Spain and Portugal, posed 3 major challenges. First, learning the language. Second, getting a scholarship. And finally, obtaining visa to travel to conduct international fieldwork. Here comes my motto of life, which I copy from Paulo Coelho's wonderful novel El Alchemista, or The Alchemist, which reads, when you want something, the whole universe conspires in order for you to achieve it. Despite not being able to afford courses or travels, I was the first person, literally in the history of my Egyptian university, to take language courses, funded by the government. I also managed to earn not only 1, but 3 scholarships to study in Spain, and the last step was to obtain visa. Citizens of the global north know nothing about the agony of visa applications. Mistrust, great expenditures, proof of massive amounts of money hoarded in bank accounts, humiliation visa centers, constant rejections, piles of documents needed, and different kinds of guarantees, etc., etc. And when the visa is granted, it's always for a very short period in which one is driven bananas to get everything done. At the airport's border control, we become subject to unbelievable interrogations of the type, you study art history, give me the names of 5 famous Spanish artists. Of course, you get so anxious that you forget your own father's name, let alone 5 Spanish artists. In any case, after a year, I conducted my first master's degree and was not completely satisfied with what I learned. Here comes the crucial role of my advisor at ISMC, Professor Stefan Paradin, to whom I will be always indebted. Stefan approached me in Egypt, informed me about a great opportunity to study in the UK. I felt I was ready for this new intellectual adventure. However, the very same challenges cropped up again. Whereas it took me 4 years to meet the TOEFL score required by ISMC, the visa and financial assistance were taken care of by this institute. This support will never be forgotten on my part. In 2016, I joined ISMC, which was a turning point in my personal, intellectual, and academic life. On a personal level, ISMC offered me and my colleagues this amazing opportunity that you guys are enjoying here, to live together in a fancy and diverse student accommodation in the very heart of the fascinating city, this city, an historically rich city of London. This presented us with an incredible level of exposure to different cultures, and for me, it became a wonderful and stimulating environment where I could improve my linguistic skills and engage in wide-ranging discussions with my peers. As for the intellectual aspect, ISMC's interdisciplinary MA in Muslim cultures showcases the broad understanding of the term culture. In only 2 years, I managed to interact with the introductory and in-depth aspects of social and religious studies, philosophy, material and immaterial history, development, among other subjects that are not only studied historically, but most importantly, in my view, applied to today's pressing issues and challenges. And here I pose an ontological question. What does really distinguish one university from another? I believe this lies in resources, including libraries, grants, accommodations, inter alia, excellent professors, novel pedagogies, central location, and an environment of intellectual stimuli. With complete sincerity, ISMC enjoys all this. The team of the library headed by Walid Ghali did not save any effort to help us reach what we were looking for. The Institute's location is central to famous museums and architecture. Institute's professors, for whom I retain much affection and will be always indebted, received me in 2016 with my preconceptions, single-mindedness, and thought processes focused on formalist art historical issues. In 2018, thanks to all these professors' precious teachings, I left the Institute equipped with the tools necessary not only to pursue a PhD degree, but also to be a multi-dimensional thinker. ISMC changed me at the core and taught me how to be a truly excellent human thinker and scholar. After ISMC, I learned that no issue should be treated from one single perspective or by one voice only. Triangulation as well as emic and ethic approaches are crucial in our journey of seeking the truth. ISMC taught me to question sources that constitute the mediation between the writer and the reader and form the main manifestation of the process of the production of knowledge. I began to interrogate the writers themselves to see their formation, education, and even political tendencies. In sum, I learned that impartial scholarship does not exist, grosso modo. I learned that our worldviews are constructed. I learned also that nothing is perennial, not even our nation states. To put it as Marx did, all that was solid for me now melted into air. Our perception, reception, and interaction with the world reside, in my opinion, in our level of awareness and consciousness. The more we are conscious of the existence of other truths, possibilities, worldviews, and voices, the more different our perception of the world is. And this informs the way we interact with it through discussion and erudition. This is how we change the world, and not by knowing by heart the dates of wars, the names of the American states, or the daily life of the Kardashians. Dear ISMC professors, thanks from the bottom of my heart. All the pedagogies you used, all the methodologies you taught us, and all the fruitful discussions we engaged in have shaped the person standing here today. Now let's go quickly back to that night, cold night in Norwich. At that time, I had not realized that God had been preparing me to be admitted to universities whose admission rates go from 3 to 6% a year. I doubted the possibility that I would make it into Harvard, NYU, or MIT. But to my surprise, I was a great candidate, thanks in great part to my formation here in ISMC. In short, thanks to this institute, particularly the wonderful faculty, I achieved one of my seemingly impossible dreams, simply from Cairo to Harvard through ISMC. But it should by no means be understood from what I'm saying that studying at Harvard is an end in itself. It's rather an advantageous means, a springboard from which to set off in other journeys to shape and reshape myself first, and then other environments around me. My takeaway, which I want to share with my colleagues here, from all this is that when you really want something and work hard towards achieving it, the world does really conspire for you to reach your goal. The Spanish courses financed by my university, the winning of 3 grants to study in Spain, the faculty support of my application here at ISMC, among other examples, prove this hypothesis. I also learned that when you help others, God will always offer you help. Give some of your time to assist others in reaching their goal the way you have been assisted to fulfill yours. Be ambitious and always aim for the 7th sky, so you may end up in the 5th. Don't let people nor the society turn up that burning curiosity moving in your chest. It is the fuel that spurs us to know more. Be thirsty to learn more, seek the truth, and never be content with one version that has been marketed to you as an absolute truth. Especially in an infodemic world replete with misinformation and disinformation. Don't take people or your own successes for granted, and be always thankful. Play with your own skills and acquire more. Motivate yourself by positivity, inspirational speeches, stimulating discussions, or even moving music. Keep your soul young and your heart clean. Believe in yourself and always remember that no one is genius. Genius is nothing but eternal patience. In Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, he writes, "Life is not primarily a quest for pleasure, as Freud believed, or a quest for power, as Alfred Adler taught, but a quest for meaning. The greatest task for any person is to find meaning in his or her life. I hope you will find meaning in your life. Thank you, SMT, for this honor, and thank you all for your attention."
Thank you, Walid, for your speech. Cohort 2023, I would now like to invite your valedictorian, Elizabeth Harding-Turner, to give a speech for all of you.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, everyone. And good morning or even good evening to those watching online. I am honored to be able to speak with you all today and reflect on our last year and a half together. First and foremost, I think some thank yous are in order. First, I want to thank my friends and family who are watching from home today. I also want to thank my colleagues and friends, as well as my partner, who are all present today. We have supported each other throughout this journey. Lastly, I want to thank my advisor, Professor Gianluca Perolin, who has continuously inspired me and shaped both my short and long-term career goals. Now, I know I'm not getting an Oscar today, so I will stop the thank yous there. I have not given so many speeches before. I think they are more difficult than presentations where one can hide behind the content of some PowerPoint slides. So, today I'm going to try my best, keeping it short and simple. That said, I am hoping to enter the world of academia, so maybe I will sneak in a few slides anyway. One of the defining characteristics of our time here at ISMC is the university's diversity. The diversity here at ISMC is not as simple as racial or ethnic diversity, although that is a part of it as well. Despite the small class sizes, we represent different countries, different age groups, different languages, different levels of previous studies, different fields of studies, and different life goals. Just look around the room today and see how beautiful it is. The first time I really got to know some of my peers, along with our senior cohort, who has since graduated, was on our orientation trip to Stonehenge in Bath. This is my first chance to divert some attention from me to some pictures on the screen behind me. This was an unforgettable trip that I believe initiated our entire cohort's thirst for travel. Since not all of us had arrived in London at that time, I have also included some photos from other events. Since then, just look at a few of the places we've gone on our own. As you can see, our time here has really fostered growth, both in and outside of the classroom. Since that orientation trip, we have had numerous adventures together, from good food at last year's Christmas party, to our perhaps COVID super spreader outing to Winter Wonderland. Thank you, Ilias, for the early Christmas present. I believe that many of us will cherish these memories and hold on to these connections for many years to come. Now, despite the evidence I just presented, we did not only use this time to travel and have a good time. We also worked, and we worked hard. Each of us has now produced a 60-plus page master's thesis across a variety of fields, which our diverse backgrounds contributed to. Just look at the range of, one extra picture here of Ilias, who submitted his favorite travel picture to the US. So here's some of our thesis topics. gender, COVID, diasporas. These are all interesting topics to be considered in the realm of Muslim cultures. I think my colleagues' hard work deserves a round of applause. We also took this time to further our professional skills, such as our command of the Arabic and Persian languages, as well as the R programming language. Now, many of us want to put these skills to use in the real world. Some of us will pursue PhDs, others are entering the workforce, and some of my classmates are even taking the time to go explore my home country, the good old USA. Wherever we go, we must remember why we came here to begin with. Each of us has an interest into understanding others, as evidenced by our decision to study Muslim civilizations and Muslim cultures, which are broad umbrella terms for people across all continents who speak different languages, who look different. We have learned about issues such as racism and sexism within these contexts. The question now is, what will we do with this knowledge? We could simply get our degree and move on, forgetting the value of what we've learned here. I doubt that, though. In fact, I advise against it. We as people living in the UK, holding a master's degree, traveling during our free time, learning both in the classroom and from each other, hold certain privileges. And with those privileges, we have a responsibility to apply our wisdom towards the creation of a better world, or at least better communities. To wrap up, and to emphasize that last point, I want to share a quote from a man I have spent the last year with, and no, it is not Dr. Lyon or even Dr. Paroline. The majority of my time here at ISMC was dedicated to studying the works of Ibn Hazm, an 11th century jurist from Cordoba. He was a controversial figure during his time, being banned from various mosques and exiled from some cities for his radical ideas and critiques of both religious and political institutions. He challenged the mainstream. In his work, titled Kitab al-Akhlaq wa Asyar, translated into English as In Pursuit of Virtue, he outlined some basic principles which resonate with me and which I hope will resonate with you all as well. He wrote, لا تبدل نفسك إلى فيها هو أعلى منها وليس ذلك إلا في ذات لا عز وجل في الدعاء إلى حق وفي حماية الحريم وفي دفع قوان لم يوجبه عليك خلقك تعالى وفي نصر مظلوم وبيذل نفسه في أعراض دنيا كباية اليقوت بالحصى, which translates into English roughly as, do not use your energy except for a cause more noble than yourself. Such a cause cannot be found except in Almighty God Himself, to preach the truth, to defend womanhood, to repel humiliation, which your Creator has not imposed on you, to help the oppressed. Anyone who uses his energy for the sake of the vanities of the world is like someone who exchanges gemstones for gravel. Whatever path we take, I urge each of us to use our knowledge and our value of diversity to preach the truth, to defend womanhood, to repel humiliation, and to fight for the oppressed, be it on a personal or a professional level. Thank you all for a wonderful year and a half, and thanks again for this opportunity, and congratulations.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay. We will now like to invite the students on stage one by one to give them their certificates. Abid Alam. Aileen Alim. Banazir Murtaza. Elizabeth Harding Turner. Ibrar Karim. İlyas Siglakber. Jamshed Esmali. Meherban Rezai. Samina Banu. Sumaya Zama. Saidani Borotiad.
Congratulations.
Zahid Hussain. Zakia Khan. Thank you. And thank you again, Cohort 2023. Before we finish, I'd like to invite the Head of Educational Programmes, Professor Philip Wood, for some closing remarks.
Thank you, Gulizar. So, I'm aware that I'm the only thing that stands between you and a reception. Keep my words very brief. But just to say, it's been a huge pleasure and an honour to teach you. And I've hugely enjoyed the experience, and I'm sure I speak for all of my colleagues when I say so. There have been many wise words spoken by Waleed and by Elizabeth, and I re-echo them now to say that with your privilege comes a responsibility, and I'm sure that you'll use it very well. And many congratulations to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. That marks the end of the ceremony. Thank you all for attending. Cohort 2023, congratulations one last time. I hope you'll do amazing things in the future, and I know you'll be a great ambassador for AKU ISMC. We'll have some food and some drinks outside, so please make your way out and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.